Hi, this is Ann Sermons Gillis with EZosophy, and today I want to talk about relationships. Relationships are very complicated, but they're necessary. We have relationships with everything. We have relationships with people, we have relationships with food, we have relationships with money, we have relationships with our self-care. We have a relationship with our own self, so to speak. And fundamentally, relationships all come from early childhood. We learn how to relate from early childhood, and generally there's a significant other that we relate to. And if we get attention and love and care from that person, then we learn how to give attention, love, and care to other people. But when we don't get attention, love, and care from a significant other, not only do we not know how to give attention, love, and care to someone else, we don't know how to give it to ourselves. Now, the universe has rigged this whole healing system for relationships in a funny way, because what it does is it brings us a person that acts very much like we do, and we have to forgive the way that they act so that we can then undo our own self-judgments against ourselves. That's one way the universe does it. There's so many different ways. Relationships are the biggest teaching thing we've got going on the planet. So the first thing I'm saying is that we attract people that act like we do, and then we forgive them for acting like we do. And when we can forgive them, when we can have compassion on their mistaken ways of relating, then we begin to undo our own self-judgment, and we're easier on ourselves. And when we're easier on ourselves and we're not conducting a lot of mental turmoil and a lot of drama and upset towards ourselves, then our lives are not only easier, but we have easier and safer relationships. Another thing that we do is that we attract a relationship with someone that's just like our parent. And the reason that we attract someone that's just like our parent is so that we can heal the relationship that we have with our parent in our head. It's not so much about healing our relationship with our parent in the now moment, even though that's very helpful, but we have a relationship with our parent in our head, and that voice of the parent in our head actually becomes our own voice, because we're the ones that say it over and over again. Now, we think it's our parents' voice because it sounds like them, but when we say it over and over again in our mind, it is our own voice. It's our own we have made it up, and it sounds like their voice is their voice in our head. We add to it. We add things that they never said. We interpret other things that people say through their what we think our parents would think about it. So it's a very convoluted and confusing thing. And so it is best to forgive our parents for what they did and know that they did the best that they can, but that usually cannot be accomplished just in a moment or two. I can remember hearing John Bradshaw speak, and he said that when he would knock on the door of his parents and his mother would say, "Hey, will you get the door? It's John." And he walked in, that he turned back into a kid. So during and this is when he was an adult, an accomplished therapist, an author. And so when we are triggered into past circumstances, we often behave like we did when we were little 3-year-old or 4-year-olds, when we were making decisions about life and we were making decisions about relationships. What is one of the best ways to heal and transform our relationships? Well, I call this the golden rule of conscious relationships, and that is it's a very simple thing, and that is to like the person. If you're in a relationship, if you're married and you're having marital problems, and you go to a therapist and you don't like the person, you might as well forget it, cancel your appointments, and not go to therapy or hope that the marriage will work. Because if you don't like the person, nothing you do will work. It doesn't matter what kind of techniques you try, or whether you go on vacation, or where you learn how to speak to each other, it just won't work. You have to have a like of that person. Certainly you have to get out your anger towards maybe some events in the past. However, if you don't like the person, nothing will work. And especially you have to like the person in that moment. That's why I like to practice liking someone in the moment. I can remember I had a friend one time, and I was thinking about her. We were spending some time together, and I just noticed I couldn't stand her. But I started listening to the words in my head, what I was saying about her, and they weren't pretty. And it was like, well, she's to this and she's to that and she's to this and she's to that. Well, anytime we're doing the she's to or he's to stuff in our head, it's because there's something inadequate within ourselves. So I began to say, wow, look at this, this good characteristic about her. And let me think about all the good things she's done for me and the things we've done and had fun together and the loyalty she's had and so forth. And before I got through with those thoughts, I just liked her again. And it was just absolutely amazing. And I went over and hugged her, and she said, "Oh, you believe in me more than anyone else." And I do, or at least I did in that moment, because the quality of my relationship is really determined by the way I feel in the moment when I'm with the person, whether I'm listening to them or not, and whether I'm criticizing them in my head or not. I can say the words and pretend like I'm with them and say, "Oh, I like you. Oh, there's nothing wrong," but you can tell it. It goes to the eyes. You can't fake the eyes. When you're with someone and you don't like them or you're upset about something, there's a cloud in the eyes, and people can tell. People can tell. So we have to get really honest and genuine with ourselves and like the people, be with the person we're with, be attentive with the person we're with, and then our relationships turn around. But the good news is that when we turn our relationships around with other people, we turn our relationship around with ourselves. So it's not like we're being the altruistic one. The altruism really is toward ourselves. Everything we do for the other person comes back to us. And so if we offer genuine kindness and love, then that comes directly back to us, because gosh, we give away a carbon copy, and we're keeping the original because it was in us anyway, the love that we gave. These are just a few relationship hints that will help you have an easier relationship, because relationships are fraught with drama, and we all want them to be a little easier. This is EZier, and I want you to remember that everything can be easy, or at least easier. And the most important thing, I love you.